Welcome back, everyone. We are ready to roll. Just to start us off here, I just wanted to mention, I know we've had some questions from the public regarding closed sessions, in-camera sessions, and I just want to explain, because of course we do want to increase transparency, and that is the goal of this council for sure, and admin has been working very well with us in that regard as well. But I want you to understand, when we do go into closed session, it's because we actually want to protect some of the numbers that in the past have been out there, and because of that we've paid what the public sees as overpaying for a project, because the numbers were out there as a bid, as a budget. And so when we go into closed session, we're actually looking at those numbers, so protecting the public from seeing that, so that we can actually negotiate when it comes time for us to do projects and secure procurement. So really it is for transparency in terms of we get to see those numbers, but at the same time we don't want the potential companies to see those numbers, so that we can have a negotiating opportunity in regards to that. So down the road, what that allows us to do is to be able to actually have fund projects for less based on that. So that's why we go into closed session. And I just also want you to know that when we do that, our clerk, our legislative assembly, legislative services here, keep us on track that we only discuss what needs to be done in camera and then come out discuss other things openly. So they are there to be our gatekeeper in that regard. So I wanted to explain that, because I know there's some people having questions about that, why we're still doing that and why we are going into closed session, or another word for that is in camera. And it's because we actually want to save money down the road. And so it's a protection. All right, having said that, we are going to resume our motions. We're still in the operating budget department. And if, Madam Clerk, are you ready for the next motion? Okay. Councillor Hyde.
Yes, the motion is that the proposed 2026 operational budget be increased by $45,000 to fund the Beaumont Library additional funding request. So basically, we had the library come and ask for more than this, but I wanted to make sure that there was money involved to do some of their operational requests. And that's why I'm putting forth this motion to add $45,000 to this this funding request. And I think that they made a pretty good statement, and I think the library is doing quite well, and a lot of our citizens are using the library, and we need to make sure that that continues to operate efficiently. So I welcome anybody to speak to the motion as to how I have this written.
Thank you, Councillor Hyde. Do you have an idea of, as a reminder, what the funding is going towards?
Yes, I believe they're looking for some more staffing involved, and then just basically some upgrades, of course, to the operational side of it, so that they can be more efficient in delivering the service. So where this is directly put to is that staffing portion of it.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Penrod, we're open for debate here.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I'd like to propose an amendment to Councillor Hyde's motion. And thanks, Councillor Hyde. I kind of had an opportunity to give you a heads up that this was coming. And I think the clerk has that amendment ready. Pretty simple. I'm actually just looking to amend this motion to fully fund the request from the library. First reason, procedurally, well, I'll wait until we can move the amendment and then I can speak to it. Thank you, Mayor. So with your permission, I'll move that the number 45,000 be deleted and replaced with 84,800. And if I could speak to it?
Yeah, so I guess this is a friendly amendment. You're okay with that?
I just procedurally, this is a motion to amend the motion that's been moved. So the first motion that Councillor Hyde put forward now is suspended until this motion is dealt with and voted on. And depending on where council goes with this will depend on the next steps.
Okay,
So Phil would speak to the motion.
so this is a motion you'd already submitted before. It's not an amendment.
Yeah, it is an amendment, but I did give everybody a heads up that it was coming, so.
Okay, yeah, go ahead, speak to it.
Thank you. Yeah, so the first piece is just procedurally, just by virtue of how we handled the motions, I had a motion to fully fund, and then Councillor Hyde's motion was received first. So I just think procedurally, and in keeping with some of the spirit today, we've had a lot of conversation and debate around protecting service levels in the community and investing in them. And when we can invest this year, that seems to be the preferred option of council and decisions we've made so far, where it makes sense, and understanding that our capacity to increase is not unlimited. So to that end, though, I would just take off my council hat really briefly and put on my library board hat. Just to be clear, this is a grant that comes from the city, and the library board operates independently and at arm's length from us. So we can approve or whatever level the grant that we like, but once we approve that number, we don't have any authority or control to dictate how that money is spent. That's, the library board has full autonomy to spend that grant as they see fit. So the next thing I want to say is the other night, as Councillor Hyde mentioned, Jessica Knock, our library director, acting, and Aruna Brennan, the board chair, came in and made a presentation to us. I have to confess it was the end of a long day. I don't recall a lot of questions following their presentation, which was a good presentation. And so I took the opportunity, knowing this motion was coming, just to go next door and ask a few of the questions we might have asked otherwise. So the question I think we like to ask with grants is, and I know Councillor Hyde has raised it himself before, is if we're not able to give you the full amount that you've requested, what does that do to your capacity to do the work that you've proposed? And so you'll correct me if I'm putting words in your mouth, but that's how I recall it. And so I asked that question, and the upshot of it is it would erode services. If we cut from the requested 84,800, we can anticipate that would manifest in the community as a cut to existing services. For example, and specifically, unless we fully fund this request, we could expect that we would lose the summer reading club, as an example, and that collections improvements would be impacted directly. So it's just, again, information that I gathered over lunchtime. And then the final point I want to make before we're open for debate and questions is, could I just confirm, Mr. Bahachuk, the library has an existing lease agreement with the city, and it has an annual percentage escalator. Could you just confirm the number for me?
Oh, sorry.
Through the mayor to Councillor Penrod. So our agreement for largely the 2025 calendar year that struck from April 1st to March 31st was 206,400. Next year it goes up to 217,200, which is an increase of about 5.3%.
Yeah, so just to summarize, the library board has whittled down their request to the best of their ability to control costs. They definitely have observed during the campaign, and in general, that's one of the biggest gathering hubs in the community, so they have a pretty good pulse on the sense in the community. So they knew this was not a year to propose real investment in growth. And so this budget that they proposed is really about protecting service levels that are existing. And so you can see they've proposed a 6.5% increase, but that rolls in the 5% increase that they're paying year over year on the lease just to have the building, which leaves a 1.5% increase, which doesn't keep up with simple cost of, the basket of goods piece is called
CPI.
CPI, thank you. Thank you, that's the bulk of my argument. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Councillor Natellenbus.
Perfect. Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick question for administration. Are we able to provide the increases that we have funded for the previous 3 years for the library?
Okay, well, try that.
Through the mayor to Councillor Natellenbus, I'll have to get my team to see what we can pull right away.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, that was a question I had as well, is what has been funded, so I appreciate that. Just a clarification as well, the 206,000, what was that pertaining to?
Thanks, Mayor. That was the lease agreement that the library has with the city. So the city owns the building the library leases from, and that's to keep the operations independent. So that's good relation. And as a city, like putting my councillor hat back on, we should absolutely have an escalator built into that lease because it controls our risk and our costs. But the point is that that's an automatic increase in expenses to their library operations, and they don't have ability to generate revenue to offset that. So,
You also mentioned collections improvements?
yeah, collections improvements, it would be their base budget to add books or replace books in a given year.
I see, okay, because I know that they don't collect for late fees.
No, not collections in the fiscal sense, collections in the curating the library sense.
Mr. Boachuk, did you have something you want to say? No, you're good? Okay. Any other councillors want to chime on? Okay, Councillor Van Newkirk?
Yeah, I had 2 points I was going to make. Both of them would be made, but I'm just going to reiterate them because I think we need a little bit of time here to get some numbers. So what Councillor Penrod had put forward, I really want to underscore the fact that once the library is funded, they have autonomy on how to spend their dollars. Just to hammer that home, and thank you for saying that. And Councillor Natellenbus, I also had it on my list here to do the look back and just say, okay, you know, what has the library got? Because I think sometimes we need that perspective check, not unlike the community grants program and other things, you know, where it's considered. So both are on my list. That's 45 seconds.
Thank you. Councillor Murray?
Thank you. I'm just, I guess I'm talking about the larger amount. I think, again, with this whole budget, it's been a whole question of how that's going to affect not just the taxpayer, but the individual at the end of the day. And I think where the economy and everybody is feeling the pinch, I feel like the library very likely provides service to a lot of people, and I think that service need increases in these times where the economics aren't always as fruitful maybe as in years past. So I think I would support this motion to amend.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Councillor Natellenbus?
Thank you. I guess just to buy a few more seconds as well. In terms of Councillor Hyde, are you able to confirm if your initial proposal consulted with the representation of the library? And if so, what exactly that provides? Because right here I see the additional 0.8 FTE at 71K. Now I know that includes COLA and merit and benefits, but would the 45 cover a staff member? And can you confirm that?
Well, just getting back to Councillor Natellenbus and Councillor Penrod's point, anything we do as a reduction is not up to us as to how they spend that money. So when I looked at the proposal, I was looking at, you know, maybe somebody at 0.8, 0.75 as opposed to a full FTE, sort of an idea. So I wanted to provide some funding for them to be able to continue the work. But I have no control on where they're going to spend that. But my feeling was if they were going to spend it on not a full-time employee, but at least get something in there at 0.8 or a 0.75, maybe that would help and that would be sufficient to go forward. So although it's not the full funding for full-time employee, I think that it's worth it to say that we're willing to put some funding into that. And that was my rationale.
Thank you. So just looking for clarity, because you said this would be applied to staffing. So did library staff confirm that this will go to staffing?
No, they did not, and I don't expect them to, because honestly, that they have to make that through their board and their committee. I believe that's the way that they would put it together. Is that not, Councillor Penrod? They would have to actually review it again and look at their timelines and say, where is this money best spent? Is that
Yeah, I'll just procedurally, I'll look to the mayor to direct traffic here a little bit. We got a little bit of weaving happening here with multiple people holding the floor, so.
Yeah, I think you were asking in terms of, because we're asking to be this number to be replaced by the other number. So I think it was a good clarification question for sure.
Yeah, I can speak to the library's ask is to fund a 0.8 position, and the motion that Councillor Hyde had, so the amendment that I've made is to give the library capacity to follow through on that vision. If you recall, part of their presentation was, well, I'll save that for my closing, but I'll just say, like, my amendment helps them to create a 0.8 position. If we half that ask, we're not getting a 0.8 position. A full-time wasn't contemplated, to my point of, they've already leaned out their ask as much as they can. And so the cut, I would say, would be detrimental to the vision that they were bringing forward. So when we've asked other groups, if you don't get your full ask, how will that impact the proposed work? I think their answer that I confirmed over lunch is that it would seriously impact what they had proposed.
Yeah, and I think in full transparency, obviously, are you still on the committee for the library?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I am new, so the previous member on the library board is no longer a councillor, so we've lost a bit of that, and that is the person that would have been engaged in the actual preparation of those budget numbers.
Yeah.
And just because of timelines of when they happened,
That's good.
which is why I went next door and talked to Jessica as the new board member, just to confirm that, because they couldn't be in the room to ask, and I confirmed with CEO Schwartz. No one on our admin would have been in the position to answer some of those questions.
Perfect. Yeah, no, that's good for clarification. I just wanted to, there's also, I heard you say that they said it would erode services, that they would not be able to continue at the level they are, and yet on the other hand, the ask is to add another person. So to me, that's two different things. Can you speak to that?
I think it speaks to the point that Councillor Murray raised, right? As our population goes up every year in hard economic times, libraries are one of the places where people turn to because they need to maximize their household budgets, right? And we know that for every dollar we invest in the library, they return between 8 and 10 in service to the community. And that's with only 50% of our households holding a library card. The harder the economy gets, the more people take out library cards and start looking at these kind of core community services where they can meet some of their family's needs, including social and intellectual, with fewer dollars spent.
Oh, thank you so much. Mr. Bowachuk, do you have numbers for us?
I do. Thank you for stalling for the appropriate amount of time for me to get those. In 2023, the library grant was, sorry, I just had something pop up in front of that, $1,116,000, which included a increase of $190,200. In 2024, the grant was $1,210,000 with an increase of $94,500. And in 2025, the agreement was $1.3 million with a $93,400 increase.
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate that information. I know there was discussion around growth and obviously the funding that comes with it. I see 23, we gave a big 190, I believe you had mentioned, Jay. Yeah. And then going path forward, it's been around that 94 to 93. It does seem to be a continuous cycle. I don't know, Jay, would you have the information as to what that got them or what the ask was at the time? And if not, that's fine. I know that's...
Oh, go ahead.
Through the mayor to Councillor Tellenbos, I'll rely on some history if I misquote my pieces, but understanding there was the big increase of the 190,000 was involved with some compensation adjustments and right sizing. There had been underfunding for a period of years, and so there was a study and some work done from that regard. And then the rest of it would be normal operations, would be why the big swing in 2023.
Perfect, thank you. And I guess the one question would be, in any of those 3 years, do we know if we added additional staff, either full-time or part-time?
We, the city, or the library?
No, the library. Would we have that information? Oh.
No, we wouldn't have that information. It's a requisition, and then, like we say, they spend it as they see fit.
Thank you.
Perfect, thanks.
Councillor Van Newkirk.
Yeah, thank you. For me, I think I'll speak pretty succinctly here. I voted positively for all three of those grants and increases, and this year in this budget isn't the time for an increase. So that's where my head is at. So, thank you.
So are we asking for an increase in the original grant? Sorry, I was confused by what you were.
Yes, what this motion would contemplate would be changing those numbers, and either of those numbers would be an increase to the grant,
Okay.
as I understand it, unless I'm incorrect.
I think the original grant was for the 84, correct me.
So, if I may, Madam Mayor, so the approved number that currently is in the budget is the $1.3 million that was approved last year. The motion on the floor would be to increase that number by potentially moving up to 84,800 or the 45,000, both of which would be more than what is currently approved in the budget.
Thank you for that clarification. Okay, so without further debate, we are going to vote on this particular one first. I have one. I'm sorry, I didn't give you a chance to speak to it before we did the vote.
That's okay. We had in the middle a chance to do some of that.
So that was defeated with in favor, Councillor Penrod and Murray. So now we'll return to the original motion. Okay, so we will proceed from there. Did you want to make any?
Just wanted to know if I can withdraw this motion.
Thank you. Through the mayor to Councillor Hyde. Yes, with consensus of council, you can withdraw this motion.
So I'd like to withdraw this motion if it's okay with council.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, moving right along here.
One minute.
Sure. I just want to make mention here that we have moved on from reductions. And we're going to be moving into, am I correct in that? No, we haven't, okay. We're staying on the operating budget right now.
Mary, do you have the next motion ready to go, but Finance would like to speak to it prior to the motion being moved?
Okay, perfect. Mr. Boyachuk.
Thank you. So, Madam Mayor, as we look at this motion, I'm just trying to get clarify on intent. As I read this motion as it sits right now, so 15% of the contract and general services budget would be $2.1 million reduction, which is about a 7% on the tax rate piece. Or is it 15% of the increase that was proposed as opposed to the whole budget? So I just want to get clarity on what you were trying to achieve from that perspective.
Yeah, thank you for that. So I noticed that our contract and general services includes consultants and so on, makes up 37% of our consolidated budget.
So again, and that's a very good question. So the intent for what I understand was the municipal side, which is on page 13, consolidated would include utilities. On page 13, the increase, so it's the 2026 budget would be $506 short of 14 million, and the change for 2026 is 712,000. So clarifying if you're looking for 15% on the 14 million or 15% on the percentage increase.
Right, so I guess, so yeah, I was looking at the consolidated budget numbers when I looked at that, but there's two different numbers here. We're just looking at the municipal operating budget, and that's what we're focused on. So, I mean, I'm open for a friendly amendment to this in terms of a number that it would be on the ask portion. So the amount is, I would say that, I'm looking at the total, to be honest with you.
Okay, the total, so 50% of the total?
I'm looking at the total,
Okay.
to be honest with you.
Which is, it equals to about $2.1 million reduction to the budget. So that just.
And I realize
and
this-
we can put that on. I just want to get clarity
Yeah,
about what
yeah.
the motion wants to be. So you can-
Are you wanting to speak to this when you're ready? Okay, go ahead,
I think they're new.
Councillor Van Newkirk.
Just a quick question for you, Mr. Bohachek. I was looking and reading all at the same time, and I didn't catch the numbers you said right at the end there. So 15% of the total would be,
So we'll be on the motion in a second, but so it's $2.1 million.
okay.
It's 2099, but you'll be able to see it in a second, but for what the conversation is 2.1 million.
Okay, and the math on that is 15% of the 13,999,494.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I'm on the right page here. Thank you for that clarifying question.
So with this information added in with the dollar amount, if the mayor would like to move her motion.
Yes. So that administration reduced overall expenditures in the contracted and general services category by 15%, roughly 2 million and 9,900.
No, sorry, that's 2099, not 2009. There's an extra. Thank you.
2,099,924 within the 2026 municipal operating budget, with administration determining where reductions are applied. So again, my ask in this is just, I'm trying to wrap my brain around the disparity between, we have a great admin, large number of staff doing great work, and I know that sometimes we can we can kind of get expense creep in, and I see a lot of times through contracted services, and this might come down to even negotiations or procurement or things like that, so there might be some opportunity there as we go forward, but I'm just wanting to see how we can be a little bit more fiscally responsible in this area in terms of getting down those numbers where we are contracting out consultants, contractors, general services that we might want. Some might we can do in-house, some it might just be a matter of procurement or negotiations. So that's why I put this forward. It is, as I did the math on, okay, so the municipal budget, it's 27% of our overall budget there, and the consolidated budget works out to be at 37%. Now we're open for debate. Councilman Natellenbos.
Thank you, Mayor. Obviously, that's a significant number, and we would love to see that applied in terms of discount on the current proposed budget. I'm wondering if, I don't even know if it'd be friendly, because I would like to propose a different number, simply in the percentile that's proposed. I'm wondering if you'd be open to that.
Yeah.
And would that fall under friendly? Yeah. Yeah, so I would like to propose 5%. I realize that's way off of the 15%, but I think it's a more realistic target and still provides significant discount, I believe around the 700K mark. I think it's a starting point in terms of, you want to talk Lean Six Sigma, trying to find those operational efficiencies and maybe moving away from some of the contracting services and working internally with the staff we have. Again, big jump. You don't necessarily need to accept that friendly amendment, but that's what I would like to put forward.
No, I would accept that.
Perfect. Thank you, Mayor.
I'll get you a number.
Kaz,
Do you want to speak to?
I'm just going to put that new number,
Yep.
Mayor, that
So,
you're...
so just to make it very simple, that's basically what they're asking for is the increase is 712,394. So we could just basically say that we
The 5%.
would like to keep away that increase of 712,394 because that's basically 5%. So we could use that number if we wanted to, and just say we're not going to increase the budget for the contracted general services.
So if I may interject, thank you, Madam Mayor. So the choices are, from the technical wording of the motion, the 5%, so it would be 699,974, or Councillor Hyde, 712,394 for it's a net zero, no change. It's $12,000. I don't know that it's going to move the dial on the $700,000 conversation. So it's up to council.
It just was pointing it out that was what the increase that they're asking for is the 5%. So I was just using those round numbers, that number.
It's a good point, and yeah, when we deal with different numbers, 5% of this and 5% of that, so.
Yeah, I think I'll keep it at 5% unless we want to do 5.05 or whatever we want to work at, but just for simple terms, I think 5% is reasonable, if you're okay with that.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so open for, did you want to speak? You've already spoke to it. We'll go for debate. We're good? Councillor Van Nieuwkerk and then Councillor Penrod.
Yeah, thank you. I've been playing catch up just with numbers and book and all that kind of stuff here. And I think first for me, thanks for proposing the amendment, the friendly there. First for me, I'd like to hear what would the impact of this be? Who is best to speak from that administration? CEO? Yeah,
Sure.
What would the impact of this be?
Sure, I'll start, and through the mayor to Councillor Van Nieuwkerk. The word that jumps out at me is cripple. That number is significant. The mayor made a comment that we have lots of staff. I would like to reiterate that we have shown that we are significantly understaffed. But a lot of this contracted work is for licensing, negotiated multi-year contracts, internet, and I'll let my colleagues add what the others. It's not because we just choose to contract out a certain expertise, although there are areas where we do, like our legal consultation with the lawyers. We use engineering firms because they provide us with multi-faceted skill sets that we cannot have in a city of our size. We we look at every bit of work we do and determine whether it makes sense to contract it out or contract it back in. And we make those decisions on an individual basis. A lot of this contracting and general services we're locked into, and we need that support as an organization our size. We can't have all that expertise. Mr. Bohojczyk, did you want to add any specifics?
So administration, before we get into detail, would request to move into closed session to talk specifics about contracts and things like that, and so to protect our legal obligations and responsibilities from that perspective.
Yes? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we'll just put a motion up to go into closed session so we can talk about the actual numbers that are involved in this.
I think it's, Joanne, there's a compliance issue.
If there's a counselor willing to move this motion?
So that council move into closed session at 1:30 PM pursuant to the Access to Information Act, Sections 29 and 30. Any discussion on this? Okay, sorry. No, okay. Councillor, you guys have your lights on because of later. We're going to vote to move into closed session. Okay, passed unanimously. Go into closed session.